and namaste. Thank you for tuning in. This is a guided meditation. Let me introduce to you the context from which this guided meditation originates from. Assuming the mystics and the contemporary meditators are all generally heading in the right direction, then this universe is an illusion. This universe is a very persistent illusion. In other words, it plays by some particular rules, which we as people in this illusion have discovered some of them, not all of them. We've called it various sciences, physics in particular. Those rules are the means by which the universe achieves its persistence. But let it be clear, the material universe is illusion. Now, we don't mean illusion the way it might be interpreted today in a sort of jaded special effects sort of way. A much more poetic way of saying it might be that life, the universe, and everything are in fact the song of many songs that God, that which we call God, and have argued over the shape of for centuries, but that which we call God is singing this song, and that is a poetic statement, a symbolic statement. But I think it gives some insight. I'm not requiring anyone to take this issue up or these ideas up as a matter of blind faith, and I don't consider myself a guru. I always like to remind myself and anybody listening that those things are the case. I do fancy myself a somewhat experienced meditator, enough that I feel that the way I feel also that in theater, which I have many years of experience on stage, backstage, above stage, below stage, I feel that I have a knack, a sort of talent, a skill, a gift, dare I, because I don't feel like I ever learned it from any one particular source. But I have a knack for, if not always successfully finding the solution to, at least always feeling a sort of mental, spiritual readiness to try and find the solution to theatery things. And as with theater, like, for example, to make that as clear as possible, we can move forward here. If I'm in a theater during a production of a show, a rehearsal, let's say, a technical rehearsal, and I'm doing my job, let's say I'm often a follow spot operator. And that means I have like a bird's eye view of most of the stage, and often including, depending on architecture and the set construction, some, if not all, if part of the backstage. Often a deck crew situation will encounter some sort of problem that requires a solution. Without trying, and I humbly submit to you, I think honestly, without ego, or without it being like an ego-inflating, driving thing, my brain sort of wants to jump in on this problem-solving thing. I don't make a big fuss about it, especially if it's overtly clear that there's no opening or no opportunity for me to interject my solution unless it's come to, loggerheads, and I'm like, here you go, guys. Here's a couple ideas. And I'm not always right. But oftentimes I've had this knack for having noticed a few bits of the puzzle, a few pieces, a few ingredients of the problem that someone else might not have. And just to have an intuitive aha, eureka sort of reflex to when a complex situation arises that people are like, well, how do we get through it to the next thing? How do we solve this traffic jam or this lack of something or this thing not working quite right? Now, obviously, this doesn't apply. This intuition doesn't always apply when a machine is broken, because that requires very specific technical data that I may or may not have access to. And I'm not claiming to have magical powers. But I do think my brain, my body, my spirit, my energy have a knack for sometimes even finding solutions to problems that haven't even been identified yet. I feel that way because I feel that way about philosophy. As I've said in other episodes, I'm presenting to you, whatever audience is out there listening, my composite thesis of many theses. I cannot claim that all of this is all my original thought, but I certainly feel that I bring a lot of my intuition and inspiration and deep thinking to it. So I assert to you, the universe is an illusion. We still have to play by concrete physical reality rules. I don't have superpowers. But there may be things that the brain and the body and the mind and the energies that the brain and body and mind and spirit work with might be capable of that we may not be fully aware of. Even in, this highly advanced age we live in. Obviously, this is something that people have claimed for centuries, from charlatans to true saints. And, there are some events in history that can really only be chalked up to miracles. And obviously others that are like, that's a scam, somebody trying to take people's money. I'm not trying to take anybody's money, but I am offering to you, my audience, my personal, I would like to make a living out of this, don't get me wrong, but I'm not trying to scam anybody. I'm not trying to rip anybody off. I'm not trying to take anybody's money under false pretenses, and I'm not charging up front for anything. What I'm offering, what my services are, what my product might be, besides a not so terribly funny, although hopefully thought-provoking, wacky-ass, bizarro, absurd series of video and or audio blogs, is my intuitive response to the common challenges that average, everyday, normal people face when their curiosity draws them towards meditation. Why do I think that's important? Why do I think I feel a calling to provide that, to offer that? I don't think I'm special. I don't think I'm important. I'm not claiming to be a guru. I don't want to create a following. If I help people, awesome. If my podcast inspires people to share a little bit of their disposable income as part of a craftsmanship, barter and trade sort of economy thing, awesome. But I assert to you with the most humility and the most honesty I can humbly present to you that meditation, at the times it has counted most in my life, as a person, as a human being with pain and suffering and anxiety and anger and mistakes that I've made and guilt that I've earned and guilt that I haven't earned, and all of that, all the mishigas, all the bullshit, all the drama that comes with being alive and wondering what the fuck is going on. Meditation, and of course meditating in addition with regular meditation with cannabis, although those are two different stories and are not required to be done together, although I give it 3 thumbs up. Meditation saved my life, has saved my life, is saving my life. I'm not perfect. I'm not claiming to be a saint. I have not fully, completely finished quitting cigarettes, right? And some people wouldn't give two shits about that and would smoke cigarettes and meditate and not care. And that's actually very Zen. Because this is an illusion after all. Okay, but I want to be very honest and very genuine with you. And the meditation I'm about to guide you through, if I haven't rambled too long in my introduction, is one that I wrote through meditative inspiration. I don't want to call it anything other than that. I don't want to sound ever grandiose. But I will explain a little bit more in detail about my theory, my cosmos theory. But I sat in meditation earlier and set my focus and my intention and asked, dare I say, I prayed, as they are two sides of the same coin, cosmically speaking. I prayed to the higher power, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter, really. Let's just not argue about it, because it's your higher power, my higher power, their higher power, God, everybody's God, is the same God's God. It's one God, but it's many gods. It's many facets. There's no need to kill each other over it. There's no need to even get into a heated debate over which one's more correct, because the descriptions here fail. And it's much more important to have a one-on-one, interpersonal, inside your person experience with it. And I don't think that's a grandiose statement to make. And I don't think that I'm special to tell you that this meditation might help you get there. Because it isn't about what meditation style or school or practice or formula you use. Let me tell you a real deep dark secret about the meditation industry that no one tells you because they want you to buy their book. And if you go find free videos on YouTube, everybody's breathing technique, everybody's yoga technique, everybody's Tai Chi technique, doesn't matter what source, no matter what country, what originality, who it is meditating it, they found the world's best, the world's most powerful. And I don't say that to be rude. And I'm not claiming mine to be the most powerful. I'm just telling you honestly and truly. And I've already given you my backstory and context in several previous episodes. Given all that, today, with as my morning intent, part of my morning meditation, and even through the previous podcasts I recorded, and then I sat down right before this podcast. I sat and I meditated very quietly, and I asked God and Goddess, because it's silly to think God is only having a penis. It's not just a male, right? It's all things. To guide me in guiding you in a meditation that will help you. Whether you believe that that's possible or not, that's up to you. The way meditation works is that it's a practice. That means you got to invest time. And to use a different word from a different background that I have a lot of history in, rehearsal means you're going to get it wrong a lot. And this I'm sure you hear on YouTube all over the place and in books and stuff. It's the practice, no matter what recipe you're using, the real practice is silencing your mind. And don't start in with but my mind, my ADHD, it's impossible, I can't do it. That's a lie. That's a conditioned social lie we've been told to keep us from meditating. Meditating is organic, like cats taking a nap. They don't need to think about it. They don't need to worry about it. When it's right for them to sit and stare at this corner of the wall and the ceiling and take a nap, they do. And flowers don't debate when the right time to open their petals are. Each one knows when to open their petals. Meditation is an innate process that human beings should have access to and have been deprived of for a long time. And I don't need to ramble at that anymore because I have in previous episodes, and I will in future ones. Okay, so I might have to break this up into two parts, which is fine because I've been doing two-part episodes every day anyways. So a quick little disclaimer. I like to use Insight Timer as my meditation app. Apps are not necessary in order to meditate. All you really need is a clock or a willingness to count. If you like really hardcore, old-school analog, get a set of prayer beads. They don't have to be special. They don't have to be an expensive-ass mighty gemstone, although those don't hurt. Mother Nature knows what she's doing, and if the artisan craftsperson who designed and gemstone, gem of whatever you call that, there's a funny word for when you're a gem craftsperson, gemology, when they did that, if their truly intent was to make something spiritual and to access the energies that crystals really can, that shit's real, but a lot of people use that stuff to market you stuff that isn't made correctly, so watch out. It also doesn't really matter, because all of matter is energy, and all of energy is energy, and divine source is energy. It all sourced from there. That's why we call it source. So even a cheap, that's why in the Catholic religion, and it makes me giggle, that's why I kind of stalled out there, rosaries are often cheap, shitty plastic. It doesn't really matter, because the prayer is not minimized by the material of the tool. The tool is useful because what it helps you do is focus your attention. And so stop giving yourself whatever out you have. And also the Insight Timer thing, it's kind of irrelevant. A timer is helpful. On Insight Timer, like on many other meditation apps rather, there's probably a little bit of community page, a collection of videos of some sort, guided meditations by other folks, as there is here on Insight Timer, and then just a regular timer. So I'm going to start my timer. Oh, and I like to use a little bit of music too, by the way. I'm going to start the music too. So this is my actual real life cheap, probably not tuned correctly meditation bell, but it works because it works, because I believe in it, because belief manifests in this illusionary universe. Oh, and of course, trying to be all professional, and my speaker power saved itself down, but here it comes. It doesn't have to be any particular kind of music. Pick a music that you like. I'm a big fan of Tibetan bowls and crystal bowls being played by various artists. This is one I found on YouTube. There's a bunch more. Go listen to them. And I'm just going to start the timer. That's Insight Timer. I set a bell to the recording of a particular kind of traditional bell, which is cool. Let's sit together and create a safe space, a loving space, a space for us to meditate in contemplative mindset together. I want to add a brief note about imagination and the use of visualization. First of all, our culture is prone to sort of dismiss and disavow imagination as childish and foolish, and therefore a waste of time. Like all things organic and natural to the world, imagination is in and of itself free of any impurity or malice. Our relationship to our imagination muscle or our imagination gland, or whatever you want to describe it, it's an emergent, convergent process, by the way. Total sidebar. I had a conversation with a dear friend of mine in a theater setting while I was trying to attenuate myself to a meditative frame of mind, even though I wasn't in an official meditative pose or anything. And we were discussing consciousness. And he pointed out, well, I mean, spiritual things are meaningless because consciousness is just an emergent phenomena that is wholly and entirely dependent on the spongy material in your skull. And I humbly and earnestly disagreed with him and suggested that perhaps it's an emergent and convergent process. In other words, all things are dualistic, right? You can't have up without down or left without right, so why would you have only an emergent process out of the spongy brain mass? Why wouldn't you also have a receptive, some sort of receiving of consciousness, of awareness of whatever all that is? like prayer and meditation, two sides of the same coin, you pray to transmit out into the universe your intent and your requests, and you meditate, silence your inner dialogue and your inner mind and your inner activities, so that you may receive from the universe the transmission that may or may not be the answer to your prayer. So consciousness in this illusionary universe that we exist in is a polemic process. Part of it emerges from the body because we are semi-autonomous movie cameras for God, and the other part of it emanates into our body from elsewhere. Where? That gets a bit tricky. Why does it get a bit tricky? The simple answer is language fails to give a very accurate description of where and how and what exactly penetrates us from within and without simultaneously to converge with our emergent body awareness consciousness to manifest the full experience of being who and what we are in this body. But we've been lied to a lot. It's easier because we've been lied to with language to strip away our interest in exploring it, and it's easy to fall into the pit traps of believing the lies because it's very hard to prove or describe that phenomena that we're being discouraged to explore with just language anyways. It's much more important, it's much more direct, and in a certain way much more simple to directly experience the phenomena, the multiple layers of phenomena. So, but I digress, because I'm supposed to be leading you in a meditation, not in joining in another lecture. But so, whatever attitudes or dismissed negative feelings you have about your imagination and about using it as a tool for visualization, abandon them now. And that might be hard. That might take practice over time. So practice now. Say, I abandon all my negative attitudes, energies, and emotions about imagination and visualization so that they do not block or impede my imagination or visualization. And something else to keep in mind and to maybe say to yourself, don't force it. Invite it to reveal to you the imagery. As your guide, the imagery I'm going to describe, I didn't force my imagination to give them. I asked it to show it to me. So now I'm going to ask you to ask your imagination to show you the same kind of imagery. That guided visualization part might be saved for the second part of this episode, because I've got about 20 minutes left. But we're going to get started for reals now. Gather yourself. Get settled in. I know that in some cultures they're very nitpicky about posture and about, this particular sitting position is best. Since the visualization in this meditation is going to be laying down, you may ultimately choose to lay down. Although some might argue that it works better, energetically speaking, if you remain sitting in an upright position, as close to a traditional sort of Buddhist or Hindu cross-legged, official formal meditation stance as you can achieve without straining any joints or your legs or your knee, especially your knees, and without blocking the flow of blood to your lower extremities so that it causes, that tingly, nervous, weird feeling. You don't want that. Try to let go whatever last bits of active energy and get comfortable. If you're sitting up, make sure that your pelvis and your lower lumbar and your upper lumbar area and your neck area, your whole spine is in the most correct, biologically correct, sort of upright. And the simplest way, I always wondered what that was because I was a sloucher as a child, always. and even after becoming interested in meditation, and the instruction I received that was the most clear for achieving the sort of most holistic and best sort of organic posture without forcing anything was to imagine my belly button wanted to give the back of my spine a kiss, but not strain it. Just sort of let that imagining guide your belly button back in there, and then imagine that the top of your head is attached to a very big, strong, gentle rubber band that's gently and not in a bouncy way, in a very sort of sturdy, giving you strength but also wiggle room way, gently pulling you up towards the most perfect direction of up. And doing that, and then like the top of your head, just sort of past the apex. Most everybody's head's got a little bit of a point, even really round heads. So just in front of that, so that your head is the front of your face is tipped up a little bit. So the hips are kind of slightly, gently, naturally rolled forward and sort of under the curvature of the spine. Good. If you're laying down, try to allow that imagery I just described to influence your body. And try giving one little stretch where you really tighten up your muscles, and instead of stretching randomly, try to stretch in that way that I just described, so that you're tightening your muscles, but you're also sort of achieving correct posture instead of just an abstract or random contortion. Good. Now let's take a deep, clearing breath. One long, slow breath in with the nose. Hold it there for a second, and as you let it go and breathe out, let go of any junk emotions, junk thoughts, junk attitudes, junk energy. What do I mean by that? Junk. We have junk food, right? That means there's real food, right? The fact that we have a health food department in the supermarket should really sort of astound you and be revelatory to something about our food culture today. Well, we have junk emotions. That's why we invented drama queen as a title, as a derogatory term. And you have the authority to forgive yourself for having those emotions and those thoughts and those attitudes and those feelings and those energies, and to forgive those energies, those events for happening, to let them go. Now, let's take a moment to acknowledge the practice. That isn't a brand name or anything. That isn't anything I own. It's like the path. It's like the sky. It exists in reality and in nature and in dimensionality. And it is something we've not been taught about. But the practice can be any activity, any recipe that includes the really core ingredients of meditation. What do I mean by acknowledging the practice? You just let go of your junk thoughts. Now, really center yourself and acknowledge that you are rehearsing the activity of meditation. A simple way to do it is just say, I acknowledge that I am engaging in the practice of meditation. Let that thought reverberate in your mind and push away any other abstract thoughts. Good. Let's take a second clearing breath. See if you can go a little slower on the inhale than you did the first time. Breathe in, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. Bring your focus to the third eye as you breathe and let it go. In this illusional universe, this universe that God is either dreaming or experiencing by creating it and being the awareness that perceives it, we do have energy structures as individuals, and we as a collective, and we as members of the galaxy. Why do I assert that is so? Because the natural world is alive. Even the earth, the dirt, the rocks, the inanimate objects have life force. All indigenous cultures have respected and acknowledged that. And I think that that's a common feature, not because they were all once really dumb and ignorant, as we've been led to believe by the dominant, controlling social narrative of, our oppressive history regime, but rather because acknowledging that natural, grown, organic things, even inanimate ones, have life and spirit is a phenomenon you can directly experience. You just have not been guided or shown or instructed or taught how to do it. Meditation is not really about doing that directly. Meditation is like gardening, someone once said. It's about preparing the ground, the fertile soil. Your phenomena of being you, so not just your body, but also you're experiencing your body's sensations and experiencing your thought sensations and experiencing your emotional sensations and experiencing spiritual sensations, or being deprived of experiencing spiritual sensations. That is your garden. That collective of experience. Your life is your garden, and meditation is one of many tools that help you cultivate that soil. So we acknowledge that we are engaged in the practice, and we bring our actual bodily focus attention to the spot where we have been informed by ancient cultures that the third eye energetically protrudes or can protrude out of the front of the forehead. Let your focus just reside there, and then have this thought. I accept myself in this moment now. It is important to accept oneself exactly as one is, including that which we are currently denying about ourselves, which we know, and including anything that we may not be aware about ourselves, anything we genuinely do not know. And just accept it. Now, people get angry at that sometimes, and it's okay if you have that feeling too. Register it. Acknowledge that you are perceiving that sensation. Forgive it for being there and being an invitation towards getting caught up in anger, which is essentially just an ego trap, and let it go. You are where you are, who you are in this life. And you are more than that. But you don't need me to tell you. You can directly experience it. So, we'll take a third deep clearing breath. And before you do it, I want you to set in your mind this sort of visual of clearing yourself, making yourself clear, so that you can receive and transmit love and forgiveness. Okay? So take in a nice deep breath. relax. 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 Don't force it, invite it in. Bring your awareness to your eyes, the muscles around your eyes, the orbs themselves. Don't force them to relax, invite them to relax. Your nose. Bring your awareness to your nose. Relax. Bring your awareness to your mouth and jaw. If you need to adjust them, adjust them. Invite all the muscles in that part of your face to relax. Let that relaxation continue down your neck. Into your shoulders. Relax. Into your ribs. Into your back. Follow that relaxation with your awareness. Bring your awareness to your hips and relax. Let your diaphragm ease out. Let your pelvis, rectum, and all the little flexing muscles in between everything relax. Bring your awareness to your upper legs and invite them to relax. Invite your knees to relax. Your feet, your toes. Check in with your breathing. Invite your breathing to relax. Slowly, gently bring your awareness back to your third eye. We're going to take 3 deep breaths. On the exhale, try to sustain the exhale so that it lasts 3 times longer than the inhale did. Like at the beginning, every time you inhale, let go of junk feelings, junk thoughts, junk attitudes, junk energy. Keep your focus up by your third eye. Visualize the breath coming in through your mouth and through your third eye and flowing down your whole body. Acknowledge the practice and accept yourself exactly as you are right now, in the moment now. And with every breath, receive and transmit love and forgiveness. Breathe in. Slowly breathe out. Breathe in. slowly breathe out. In. Out. Now just relax. Let your attention float freely. Let your breath ease into its natural pace. Sit like this for a minute or two. I have to wrap up this session, but I'll be back for part 2. We'll walk through this process at half the speed, get us here to this resting, relaxing place, and then move on to part 2 of this guided meditation. So if you're listening and you're just going to press play in part 2, forgive the repetition. It'll be a super quick review. Keep breathing. Keep forgiving any and all thoughts. Even if it's you thinking, oh my God, I can't stop thinking things. Say to yourself and to that thought, it's okay. It's forgiven. You are let go. If you aren't going on to part 2, please enjoy the last 2 minutes of these lovely Tibetan singing bowls. And enjoy sitting in some silence. And bring your attention to the third eye if it strays away. If you start having silly thoughts or daydreams about work. And then when you're ready, gently open your eyes and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in and meditating with me. If you're on Insight Timer, look me up. Add me as a friend. Om Shanti Medashanti Om Namaste.